Hello, this is Edward with Built by Burke Concrete. Today I'm presenting to you a video of a project we did for Portillo's, the Portillo's that everybody knows and loves. That is the beef sandwiches, hot dogs, burgers, used to be the ribs, which unfortunately I'm very sad about that they got rid of. But Built by Burke Concrete, a little bit about ourselves. We are commercial and industrial concrete contractors based out of Chicago and Phoenix. We support those two areas, the Chicagoland area and the Phoenix land area. So we try to stick with, we do it all, general contracting. We will general contract the other subs, but when it comes to concrete, we in-house it all. But we try to stick to operating businesses and the needs that they are looking for. If they're looking for people to jump through hoops and make it happen on the off hours, guys are looking for really niche work to keep their business operational. We try to support them in that fashion. So, but today, like I said, I'm presenting a project that we had done for Portillo's, and this kind of factors in with that niche work. So this, you can see here, they have an existing floor. Poor condition, it was shot. Now, originally they only wanted us to do the small plumbing section that you can see highlighted in or painted out. This was for plumbing. Now, the purpose of this room is it is a blast freezer. So the neighboring room, they have all of the ovens where they cook all the meat. Then it's taken out, put it on carts, and it's shipped into this room right here. And prior to us, prior to this image, there was a lot of blast freezers in this room, and they were outdated. So the main purpose of this project was to re-update those blast freezers, so I guess they could cut down on what amount of time they were sitting in this room. I think like half, something crazy. Anyways, so initially the project started with just the removal of the section here, painted out for the coolant, any water running from the coolers to run off, and then they were going to have a separate floor topping contractor come in and grind down the floor and the curb that you see on the walls and redo that. Now, it was in pretty poor condition all the way, and so they did end up just having us come in and remove the entire floor. So it started off, like I said, with this little section here, and as you move forward, you can see just the existing condition, really. It was terrible. It was shot, and why they didn't want to go with the entirety of the floor in the first place is beyond me. Fortunately, they did decide to go with it. Now, here is, like I said, working with operational businesses. One of the big things with food companies is that they have to prevent any sort of contaminants, and they have a constant USDA agent on site 24/7. And Portillo's, being a reputable brand as they are, had large concerns about contaminants. So in this picture here, you can see in the hallway to access this room, they shut the room down. They wanted us to put in this temporary door that would prevent really any sort of contaminants coming out with the cement, the silicone and whatnot. So we duct taped it all up, built a temporary door, and the USDA agent came in and said, this is more than sufficient. This looks good. So, and one of the other things with this project too is we were working on off hours, which meant the weekend. So we were working weekends and we were working nights, and because we had to run material, and you don't see it in any of the images that I have, unfortunately. But there's about a 500 to 600 foot linear run on the inside of this factory to this room here. So we had to work on off hours, and so weekends and nights, and we had to run it in between. So there's a lot of additional work outside of just this room that you don't see. But as I continue forward, that was one of the contingencies that they wanted. You can see the second door here on the other side. Now, we were not accessing this door in any form or fashion, so it wasn't needed. We just taped it off in its entirety. And then you begin the saw cutting process, and as you can see, the guys come through, strip it up. He gets as close as he can to the curb, which is about 3 inches off. And if you see in this picture here, you can see just how small we cut it. They're about 1 foot by 1 foot blocks. I think they're about 8 inches thick is what the existing slab was. So it's small enough where the guys can pick it up by hand, throw it in the wheelbarrows, and then take it off. And like I said, this was all done at night, off hours. There were a lot of concerns with the water, but you can see the guys are removing it all, cutting it up. 2 rooms, a total of about 1,000 square feet, might have been a little over. Guys are wearing the mocks as well as the hairnets, which was required. That was another thing that was required by the USDA government official who facilitates the building at all times. That the agent is always there. And then this is it. You can see right here after we remove all of the existing concrete. So you had about 8 inches of an existing slab, and then I think you had 6 or another 8 inches of insulation, and then underneath that you had a mud slab. So we did have to break a little bit of the mud slab for the plumber to redo his work, and then we had to replace the top 2 pieces of insulation, which you'll see in a minute here. Now, this is the bottom layer. We already ripped off the top layer, so it's just a matter of cleaning the bottom layer and then replacing the top. And you can see in this picture here the curb, again, the type of damage it was in, and you can see just how messy it is and why they would want us to follow all of these kind of overzealous rules when it comes to building the temporary door, working weekends, all electric equipment. You didn't want any diesel equipment, so, or gas, you know, whatsoever. But this is us cleaning it up. You can see the mess it made too on the wall, so you got to come back and clean that all up. A lot of cleanup. Again, you can see the damage, but this is it after we get it cleaned up. And so, like I said, you get as close as you can with the 3 inches on the saw coming into the curb. You're about 3 inches off, and then you get a guy coming back and he just chips on the ledge. You can see in the picture right next to the curb. And then this is us placing the insulation back. So I think that's about 4 inches. I think those are 2-inch pieces. Got the laser coming in, making sure everything's pitched down towards the floor drain there. Looks good. And then right here, you got your rebar. And like I said, this is going to turn into a blast freezer. So these guys have an intention of, you know, I think the room's final temperature was going to be like -10 at all times. So you want to make sure that your floor here is structurally sound, because anyone that has ever worked with concrete or even walked, you know, you live in the Midwest, you know that concrete and cold weather do not have a friendly relationship with one another. So I think we did 2-inch centers along with the wire. So, I mean, it is beefed up. If they ever come back and ask me to rip down the floor again, I'm not going to be happy. But looks good. Guys come in, get it all prepped. And, I mean, you can see we already had the guys do a rough clean. You can see they started wiping stuff down the curb, the walls. Everything's prepped. It looks great. Coming through, another angle. Again, it was 2 rooms. 1 room, a total 1,000 square feet. And then here you can see, like I said, we were running the concrete from the loading dock, and this room was in the center of the building. So we had to run it about 500 to 600 linear feet away, going through multiple doors. So we have all the equipment. You know, if you were looking to hire us, built by Burke Concrete in the Chicagoland or Phoenix area, we have all the equipment for electric. You know, so we got electric buggies, electric excavators, we got electric bobcats. You know, if you are looking for us to go, you know, jump through hoops, we can make it happen. And especially with a lot of food distributors, they want to see, you know, no gas. That's a big concern with them. So we were obviously accommodating them with this here, but getting the concrete to the location was a big concern. And then after you get it all prepped and whatnot, you begin the pouring. And this is a product called Gil 33. Now, this is the first time I ever used it, and it acts like a non-chloride accelerant. It's a 5-gallon bucket. It was pretty, not cheap, let me tell you, not cheap. And we had to send someone to Indiana to go pick it up because that was the only supplier that we could find nearby. So, you know, spent like 3 hours, you know, we sent a guy out there for 3 hours to go pick these up. And I think it's a 1-to-1 ratio, 1 5-gallon bucket to 1 yard. And you come in, you mix it, you basically mix the drum, and then you toss it up to the guy on the concrete truck. He throws it in the concrete drum. You do it 5, I think we were doing 5 yards, and then five, whatever you would call these things, 5 drums of these, 5 drums in the drum. So 5 yards to 5 of these, and you'd mix it up for about 5 minutes, and then you better hope you have good concrete, guys, because the time starts ticking after that. You got about 45 minutes for the concrete to like really start setting on you. So it works, actually. It was a great product. Anyone that's worked with non-chloride accelerant, the typical that you can call in your ready mix supplier, and you're like, hey, you know, put in 2% or whatever. This stuff definitely tightens up on you pretty quick. But when it comes to finishing it, much nicer. The non-chloride accelerant that you'll get from your other from your ready mix supplier sucks. But this set up super well. So in the next photo you'll see, they say it's 28-day strength within 24 hours. And I kind of thought, I was like, that's got to be bullshit. But the next day it was like set. So, you know, you make some splash, obviously pouring the concrete, and so you got to come back the following day, wipe down the walls and whatnot. And I thought, okay, like we're going to come back, wipe them down. It's going to go like it normally does, real easy. I mean, it was set. So I had to get some uric acid. It turned out still beautiful. But I did end up having to get some uric acid the following day and have my guys wipe it all down because it was already set. I mean, it's set like a fucking bitch. So, but you can see here, you know, a liquid concentrate, microsilica-based admixture that reacts with fresh cement to create a superior bonding, waterproof, non-shrink concrete cement patch and non-shrink grout, which develops high early strength in concrete mixes and increases compressive strength of Portland cement up to 6150 psi. And it does work, let me tell you. So, like I said, not cheap, but if you were looking for something that sets up like immediately and does a really good job structurally, this is it. So we used it. It was demanded too by the floor topping guys who were going to come back after us and do that. So, you know, they wanted a waterproof, non-shrink concrete, and they needed it to be set up for realistically 28 days. But because Portillo's did not have this 28 days to wait, they needed a product such as this, which, you know, sped up the process, and then the floor guys could come in and not have any concerns. of water contaminants between the concrete and the topping and it breaking off. So this is our guys pouring, coming in with the electric buggies. They're coming in with the bull floats, hitting it, screeding it off. Went pretty good. You got a guy with a hook picking up the rebar, making sure everything's in there. Looks good. And they had a high quality, or it was like, they wanted 7% air too, which is like exterior air. Now that was because of the blast freezer, you know, it's gonna be cold all the time. So they wanted that movement allowance within it. So you could only hit it so many times. Now they were coming back with like I said, a floor topping, but this is it after we finished it. That's it right there. And then, so the floor, and so one of the reasons this project got so much bigger for us, as you saw in the original picture, it was like a slim 2 foot by, I don't know, maybe 20 feet. I forget what it was. And that was originally just for the plumber. Now, the floor topping guys brought in a diesel machine and it was like really big. And we knew immediately that this was going to be an issue. So they bring it in and there's a lot of dust, or not a lot of dust, but a lot of smoke. And the fire alarms go off. And they put in like a temporary exhaust fan in it for going out, but it was like so obvious. We thought they'd have like the little, you know, floor grinders. They'd have a couple guys in there. They brought this thing in and we were like, oh, this is a lot bigger, and it didn't work. So one of the reasons was they could not grind down the floor in its entirety, and Portillo's, who we have a relationship with, was happy with our work. So they said, you know, fuck it, we got to rip out the entire floor. So we ended up having to cut the entire floor up. The whole thing got expanded. I think we left it down, whatever it was, like an extra ½ inch lower than what the final grade would be, because they come in and they put their floor topping on. So this is what they were using, and it did not work out for them. So that was one of the reasons we came in, and as you saw in the original picture, increased from that little section to that large section, and then worked out in the end. As you can see here, you got the final. So like I said, my guys came in and I had them send them back with the muriatic acid to clean the walls. So this is after they clean the walls. You can see just how clean it is, but the floor topping guys did come. I never had anything to do with the curb, but it does look pretty good. And then they came back into the actual floor. It's like a non-slip. I don't know exactly. I don't really understand why Portillo's wants it. I guess the meat, if the meat falls on the ground, it's pretty slippery to fall on. Some of the other factories that we've worked in have the same red topping on it. It's a little gritty. But this is it. Like I said, I don't have much, but clean as stainless steel. The floor guys came in. This is after they did all their work, and it looked pretty good. The freezers came in. They reinstalled the freezers. And place looked great. So again, we are Built by Burke Concrete, commercial and industrial concrete contractors out of the Chicagoland and Phoenixland area. If you were looking for new construction, you know, maintenance work, give us a call. Our website link is in the description. You can find us there. Reach out. We'd be more than happy to advise, you know, give you a quote and get anything you're looking to get done situated. So reach out. Thank you.